Chicks, and I'm really excited about my guest today, who is a beautiful woman called Sarah Greer. And hi!
Hi!
And she really is all about amplifying your voice and using your energy to amplify your message. And she's worked with thousands of people in business to help them to get their message across, and really your business has just gone from strength to strength. So it'd be so exciting just to find out how you're using the law of attraction in your life and in your business, and all those magical tips you can share with us.
Oh,
Welcome.
Thank you, love. I appreciate that introduction. I'm so excited to be here. And yeah, I love talking about this stuff. I'm kind of like a manifesting junkie. So let's do this.
Let's do it. So let's go to the beginning. When did it start for you? When did you recognize that you could manifest?
Yeah, it's funny. My friend, Jessica Culp, she teaches this stuff. And I was invited to a retreat with her. And that was my first introduction to it. And before the retreat, she told us to read a Mike Dooley book. And I can't remember the name of the book, but one of those, more famous books that he's written. And that was my introduction to all of it. And I remember showing up at the retreat, and there were like 8 women sitting in a circle together. And we all kind of had to set our intention for the weekend. And mine was to become a master at manifesting. Like, that was what I wanted, because I was just like, and she looked at me when I said that, and she said, well, you're already a master. And I was just like, what? That right there blew my mind already. I'm like, what do you mean I'm already a master at this? That's what I'm here for. Yeah. But she was always like really good at just saying one little pivot in your mind or idea, and you're like, oh. And so, yeah. And now I get what she means by that. But at the time I was just like, I barely even know what this stuff is. How could I be a master?
Yeah. But it's because it's our natural birthright. Of course, we're masters at it. It's just recognizing how to tap into it, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And realizing that everything's serving you. So everything is manifestation, but really owning that is the other thing. Like, I felt like that was the gap or the divide for me when I was asking for that, is I didn't realize that yet. I wasn't fully stepping into my power yet.
Yeah. So how did you start just to kind of test the theory and just let me see what I can manifest? Did you start off with just little things, or did you go for like really big things with your intentions?
I felt like things just started finding me, not the other way around. So like, I remember in my business, I own a copywriting business, and I totally wanted to create a course because I saw so many other people out there having success with selling online courses, teaching people the knowledge that they already knew. So one of the big things I remember that happened was once I just had set that intention, and that was my vision, was to take all of my knowledge that I've been doing for private clients and to put it into course format. I won a competition for somebody to create my course.
Wow. So that's where it started.
Yeah. And on top of that, at the same time, another person had come to me and said, like, there's the course platform that needed to be created, and then there was the course material teaching people how to do their copywriting. Another girl came to me, and she would edit all of my material for me, so all my video production. So it was like from every corner I was getting support and like little nudges and winks to like go ahead and do it. So when that stuff started happening, I was like, wow, okay, this is really powerful. Like, you just set something in your mind and then watch all of it kind of flow towards you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that you've had some really crazy manifestations, particularly with your business, in terms of the stages that you've been speaking on. Tell us a little bit about some of the people that you've actually shared the stage with.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Yeah, so I'm in the online marketing world, and if you're in that world, some of these names will be familiar to you, but if not, you might not know who they are. But last December, actually, I kind of hit a tipping point in my business and my manifesting and everything, where I was invited to speak on stage with Pat Flynn, who has a podcast called Smart Passive Income. Rick Mulready, he has a podcast too. And it was also James Wedmore, Amber McHugh. So just like all Amy Porterfield, like all these, it's funny because I was invited to the event first, and I already said yes. And then I found out the lineup, and I was like, wait a minute, it's all these like incredibly influential online marketers and Sarah Greer. And I hold myself in the same esteem. I just didn't have the reach that their audience had. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. So yeah, that was a super fun one. And it really was a huge tipping point for my business right at the time that I needed it. And just again, feeling like things were finding me versus me having to go out and do it.
That's really powerful. It's almost like you don't have to set a specific intention. You can just set the intention of being a magnet for your business and just attracting everything that's for your higher good, and then just letting it in. So
it's almost like the best manifestations happen that way when you don't attach yourself to the detail, you know. I know both you and I, Tina, are big fans of like just focus on the feeling and let the rest come in. But, you know, we're human. We see other people get certain accolades or things in their business or their life, and we create a desire or an attachment to specific things. But it's really nice when what you manifest is better than you could even imagine. And that was one of those moments. Like, I couldn't have imagined that was going to happen. And then when I found out what was actually happening, it was even better than I thought. And I was like, I love this.
And how was the event?
It was incredible. It was just the perfect, like, everything that happened there, all the people I met, like I still have relationships with them. I feel like those are the best events, the ones where you create these long-term relationships and like you really get to know people on a deeper level. So while I was there, everything met my expectation. It was just a beautiful setup. It was really easy for me to go. I stayed at the hotel. I showed up at the hotel. There were gifts in my room from people congratulating me. It was, and the night before we went out on the town and just kind of pre-celebrated the whole thing, which I highly recommend. It's something that I've learned to do is like before the actual big thing happens, celebrate it already. So that as it's happening, you're like, I already celebrated this. Like you feel natural in the moment. So getting on the stage, I was like not that nervous. I felt really comfortable and at home in the room, and you know, people who I didn't even know would know who I was already before I got there, like made me feel welcome. And so it was just an incredible experience. I was really grateful. And then afterwards I ended up talking to like James and had ended up working with him on some of his projects. James Wedmore. Got to talk to Pat Flynn, like really have conversations with them too. And that was just like, everything just felt like more whipped cream on top of the already amazing, like the cherry and then the nuts and the sprinkles. I was just like, wow, this keeps getting better and better. And I was just like on the biggest high. I had the best weekend there. It was so fun.
Yeah. But that's a really good example of how when you're in the momentum of something positive and the energy's high, that's the time to just attract in more and more and more. You know, you keep amplifying it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I am like right in the middle of that again right now, because in August I decided to take time off from my business. So I wasn't doing any client meetings this month. And I was really just letting my team kind of take care of things in terms of serving clients that already signed on for projects. And I am getting like all these leads, like all these people want to work with me right now, and I'm cracking up.
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible.
It's just so funny, like you said, like making yourself attractive. Go on vacation for a month. Everyone will show up and want to do some work with you. It's really awesome. And I've gotten creative. Like I've let my team make videos for them instead of me showing up on calls to talk about projects. And then I also have been letting people make deposits to start with me in September. I'll let them get started with their piece of the project. There's intake forms and stuff, but I just found like if you're that attractive, don't say no to the business. Like there's no reason to completely say no. Hopefully you have like a contingency plan in place like I have. So I've been making money this whole month and not doing any work. I'm like, I could get used to this.
Yeah, I like that. But that's really, you know, that's when you start saying to people that are getting involved, either they're starting a business or, you know, they've been in business maybe for a year or two, and you get to that point of, you know, you're starting to grow and you feel like you're doing more and more work. well, actually it's the opposite, where you start to actually just be more of yourself, step more into space, you know, that feels good, the business then becomes easier.
Yeah, I've always said that the more money you make, the easier it gets. That's always been true for not just my copywriting business, but other businesses that I've, you know, done or been an employee at. It was always the most money I made, the easier the job was. And I don't realize how counterintuitive that is for most people to think about. They think if I want to make more money, I'm going to have to work harder, therefore they don't try. But I would encourage people to look at it the other way around, because I have a client, we did our first launch together, we made 1.5 million. And I know, insane. And
you just said that so casually. We made 1.5 million. That's awesome. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, we had been working together maybe like 3 months or something. And that first launch was just so incredible. But I've been watching how they run their company. And they're netting well above what we made in that launch. And I found that especially the people, like the CEO of the company, he's taking a year sabbatical and he's going to go be the visionary of his company and go learn more in depth the things that he teaches to the public. He does a lot of speaking and all this stuff, but I see that like taking a whole year off is totally possible and still bringing in all the money. You just have to have a great team in place supporting you, and know that, you know, you don't have to be in the weeds of your business every day to really have a successful business. And I think people see it the other way around. So I hope that helps some people kind of bust through that idea, because it's so not true.
Definitely. So if somebody's just starting a business, how would you advise them to maybe implement the law of attraction to get started? What are some of the tips that you might use?
Yeah, I feel like definitely partner up with other people who want to use law of attraction too. Like, I can't even begin to tell you, like from the beginning, I've always had a core support and a core network of people. So, because it can kind of be tricky if you're going to start a business and the other people around you are still working a day job. Like, there's just, it's hard to match with them, like what's going on in your life and what's going on in theirs. So definitely find somebody to partner up with. And I started really simple, just reading like the book E Squared by Pam Grout and doing little experiments on my own. And then I started going to some retreats, but I think people are so quick to like go out and buy programs to learn how to manifest and how to run their business and all of that. But I would really encourage people to go to the library first. Like, I soaked up so many books, and so many books fell off the shelf for me when I set the intention to take action and learn. And then you can be kind of more selective about what kind of programs you might join or get into a formal mastermind. But informal masterminding too was really great for me in the beginning, like a just accountability group of peers. I think those are little things that you can do that are so easy. And then ultimately though, it's like, keep yourself motivated, keep yourself inspired to do things, and to continue learning, and to be always willing to be a sponge. Like, just be willing to learn and then learn some more. And then do what feels good to you from there, like kind of follow your intuition.
Yeah. That's really good advice. And what do you do to get yourself in that good vibration sort of on a daily basis? Do you have certain things that help get you into that mindset?
Oh my gosh, there's so much stuff I love to do. There's one practice that I love. I learned from Tony Robbins, actually. It's called 3 to Thrive. And basically you sit down, get yourself in a quiet space where you can just focus, you know, kind of go inward. And in that space, you will think of 3 things that get you so happy, like just 3 things that have happened to you recently that will, to me, a lot of times it'll bring tears to my eyes. But the point of it is, like, whatever 3 things you're thinking about, you want it to put you into the driver's seat of your emotion, like actually feel those memories and why they're so awesome to you. Like right now I could think about yesterday I was in Malibu with a group of friends, and we were eating and having brunch and just looking out at the ocean. Like, it gives me chills just to think about it right now, but you put yourself in that emotional feeling. And then the next thing is to think about sending health to your whole body. I'm actually attuned to Reiki. I don't know if we've talked about this before, Tina, but
I don't know. I am as well. I'm a Reiki master too.
yay! Yeah, I'm attuned to level 1. So the next step of the 3 to thrive is to put healing through your whole body. So I use Reiki. And then I actually expand that healing out to my circle. Once I feel full, then I'll think of you, Tina. I'll think of some of our other friends. I'll actually send healing to my circle. And then the last thing is to think about anything that might be tripping you up or any problems that you might have. And for me, it's usually business related or my personal life. And just imagine those things solved already. And yeah, it's great. So you do that in like 10 minutes and then you're feeling so much better and energized and ready to go.
Yeah, that's so simple. Anybody could spend 5 or 10 minutes a day to do that. So they're the kind of tips that really help to get people started.
Yeah. It's super fun.
And then do you actually, once you're in that space, is that then your time where you would maybe start setting your intentions for the day? Do more of a week or a monthly intention plan for yourself?
Yeah, that I do it. It's kind of random. Sometimes it's daily, but sometimes I just do it like once a week where I really feel into like what I want to invite into my life that week. And then I actually share it with a friend. So I'll usually I use Voxer, which is an online mobile app. And I just leave a Voxer for a friend and I'll tell them what my intentions. I have a few friends that I leave them a message and tell them what my intentions are for that week. But if something inspires me midweek, I'll contact them again and say like, this is, the next thing. And I mix that in, like, I guess I mix in intention setting throughout the week and then celebrations throughout the week. So I really focus on celebrating things that are going right, like that I'm just so excited about. I can't help but share it with everyone I come into contact with. I'm like, the celebration train is coming. You can hop on or not, but it's coming. So between those 3 things, like it really helps me to stay focused on what's really important to me because there's lots of distractions.
Yeah.
But I'd rather stay focused on the things that I know are going to best serve me. So.
Yeah, and it's almost like when you put a voice to it or you write it, it's almost cementing it, isn't it? It's making it more real. You're committed to it. You're putting the energy behind actually making it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And even like you're making me think about too, whenever I hire somebody to my team, I have like my vision statement kind of written out and I update it and I send it to every person who joins my team so that when they come into the company, they understand the bigger vision of what we're all working towards. So it's good to share it with friends, but also like make sure that if you do have a team that you're working with, that they all are on the same page about what we're all trying to accomplish.
Yeah, definitely. But when you very first started your business, did you have a vision? Did you have any idea that you would become this successful so quickly and have all these amazing people around you?
When I first started, I really didn't, I would say like I hadn't expanded my mind to that big of a dream yet. Like I knew what was in front of me, that I was working for a company that I wasn't really that happy with and that there had to be more freedom in my life. Like I wanted more, that was the entry point for me was I know I want more freedom. Yeah. And so, I over time, my vision grew itself. I was like, okay, that's the next thing that I want. And I think that what helped grow my vision was being around so many different women. I'm sure you've noticed that I love just like as much interaction as I can get with other people. I'm definitely a social butterfly in my local town, like here in Los Angeles. So I would organize these meetups or I would see people online in different Facebook groups. And that really helped me to grow my vision. It's interesting because when I first got started, sometimes it would set me back. Like I would see people having this amazing growth and I wanted what they had and I wanted it as quickly as they got it. And so it's funny that you say things happen quickly for me. It didn't feel fast to me. It felt like, I don't know, it just felt like it took me a while to get where I was at. But now I'm grateful for all that time, because I feel like for some people, fast growth can overwhelm them, and not in a good way. They don't get to enjoy the growth. Yeah. So my business has been going for 5 years now, and there were a lot of things that I did along the way that didn't necessarily pan out the way I thought they would. And it took me a long time to really accept the fact that my failures were a part of my growth. And there's this quote that I love, I never fail, I either win or learn. So when I really owned that statement and embraced the things that didn't work is when I felt like I had the most growth in my business. So there was a learning curve for me.
Yeah. We love the contrast, not when we're going through it, but on the other side of it, you can reflect. You can reflect back and think, that's why that happened. That's what that did for me. Now I'm ready for the next step.
Yeah. So I feel more ready than ever to have the success that I have now. And for that, I'm grateful. And I don't know why I was in such a rush before. I guess it just feels like it's hard because you compare yourself to other. If you're an online business, I don't care who you are, at some point you're going to compare yourself to other people out there. Yeah. And so eventually you learn to let that go, though, and realize that you're carving your own path and it's not going to look like anybody else's. And that's a good thing. So, yeah.
But I think what's really special about how the universe works is it will only let you take that step when you're ready, because your vibration is going to attract what your belief is at that time. So if you're not feeling ready, if you're not feeling, deserving or in that position to really grow your business, you're not going to attract in the right things until you kind of do the inner work first. So it takes care of us.
Yeah, you're right. It is. It's taking care of us without us even having to do anything. That's the beautiful part. And I think there's always a little bit of new steps you have to take to get to that next level of deserving, or that next level of feeling worthy of what's happening around you. Yeah. And so it's like this beautiful journey. So, something that I really hold strongly now is to remember to enjoy every step of it. I remember there were so many years where I'd get to the end, it'd be December, and I'd be like so frustrated that I hadn't accomplished all my goals. And this year is not like that at all for me. I'm like, I feel like I've already accomplished every goal that I've ever had for my life and my business. And so I'm just enjoying every step of the journey. If it feels like a setback, that's okay. But I always feel like I am moving forward, even if I'm in the middle of a setback. So that's been, it's like, the clouds parted.
It's the mindset. It's definitely the right mindset. That kind of celebrating every little, every little step along the way. And and then that gives you more to celebrate, and that gives you momentum. And you're right, even the setbacks, they serve you in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, when you get to a place where you can celebrate your setbacks too, that's when you really love every step of the journey. And I kind of wish that I had known that going in to be an entrepreneur. Like if I could go back to my initial first day of my business and just say, hey, love your setbacks as much as you love your celebrations, I'd be like, thank you.
Yeah. That's a good tip. We're going to write that one. Love your setbacks.
Yes. Love your setbacks as much as your celebrations, because they're both, as they're serving you one is serving you just as much as the other. So
what do you do when you're in the middle of a setback though, when you're in that contrast? How do you get yourself back into alignment when things are not feeling so good?
I was sick last week, actually. I don't think I've shared this with you. I had food poisoning. It was crazy. I haven't been that sick in a long time. And my reaction to it all was I canceled everything that was on my calendar, personal or business. I was, even though I'm not working with clients this month, I've been interviewing project managers and other copywriters that I want to add to my team. I took all that off my calendar. I had a podcast interview. I was like, I'm not going to push myself to do anything this week. My body needs to recover because my mind can keep going.
Yeah.
But I had to honor my body. So then I got my nails done.
Nice.
I got my hair done. Like anything I could do to just get back into my body and feel good in my body, I did it and I prioritized it. And so that was really helpful. And I mean, I literally was only laid out for one day, which was pretty good considering how sick I was. So I attribute that though to really honoring my body and letting things process. But you know, if I have like a business setback, like I'm waiting for a client and they end up saying no at the last minute and I was counting on them booking with me, I've always known that I just need to make space for something better to come to me. Like if it's not a yes from them, it'll be a yes from somebody else. And I was listening to somebody recently talk about how 90% of it's interesting because I consider myself like a premium copywriter. Like people pay me a lot of money because in a first launch, I might make them $600,000 or $600,000, a six-figure launch. Like we'll do $100,000 together or something like that. So I'm not for everybody because I charge a lot for my service. And I've learned that it's totally okay that like 90% of the people may not be the perfect client for me, but that other 10%, I'm going to grow their business so much and be so excited for what I do with them that I'm okay with hearing no a lot. It doesn't always happen, but when it happens, I'm like, that's okay. Even if I think they're the perfect client and they step out at the last minute, I just know somebody better is coming and that there's a reason why that happened, and I just trust it. And that level of trust, it can be, you have to remind yourself of it a lot to be like, this wasn't meant to happen, but something better is meant to happen. And I've followed that kind of trail or that path in my business, and it's served me every time. And it's the truth, like things get better and better every time.
Yeah. Yeah. And just standing in your self-worth as well and recognizing this is the value I bring. This is what I'm going to charge, because that's another kind of issue. That money story comes up for a lot of entrepreneurs. What should I charge? This is what other people charge. But really, you've just got to be aligned with it yourself and trust that you'll attract in exactly what you're asking for.
Yeah. And you know, I created that online course I was talking about earlier, and I launched it. I think I did one really big launch, and then I never did that again. I did a bunch of small launches after that because I didn't have it was, you know, quote unquote, a failure to me because I thought that I could bring in a lot of income and teach a lot of people all at once. That's not how it panned out. But what's great is for those people now who say, you know, Sarah, you're too expensive for me. This is not, you know, people charge way less and do your job, the same job as you, which is not true. They don't do the same job as me, but the point is now my team knows if they are, you know, open enough to, because people are kind of scared to even say that much. They usually just disappear. They won't even say like, I can't afford you. But when they do say that, now I send them to the online course and it's great. I get sales for the course. They get to learn on their own how to DIY their copy. And it's awesome. Like everybody wins in that situation. So I'm really grateful that I have that course for people who aren't ready to hire a one-to-one copywriter, or I have my book that I wrote as well called Unleash Your Voice, and they can just go get the book. So I'm glad I did those things now, but at the time I didn't know that was the value they were going to bring to my life, and I'm so grateful for it. But again, like at the time it felt like a failure. Now I'm like, oh, that's the real reason I did that. So yeah.
And obviously your strength is with your one-to-one with your big clients. So, you know, it's almost like your higher self knew which way it was going.
Yeah. And I would say to people too, like if you're feeling unsure about your pricing, is to know like there's a group of people who feel like it's too much for them. And there's another group of people who are like, this is a steal. That's all you charge me?
Yeah. You're like, I need to put my prices up.
Yeah. So just, and you know, like for me, I incrementally raised my prices, and it was based on the results I was getting for my clients. So I really felt comfortable doing that. I don't recommend for somebody to go from like 0 to 3,000 for a package if they're not ready for it. But for me, I incrementally stepped up as I got bigger and bigger results for my clients, I raised my prices. So that's kind of how my method for doing it. So people can find their own way, but hopefully that's helpful to hear.
No, definitely. So you've had lots of success in your business, lots of manifestations. What about outside of business? What other kind of things, like fun things? Or I know actually, did you manifest like $100,000 or $109,000 recently?
Yeah, I did, girl. This year has been awesome.
Wow,
that one was totally effortless. I have a family member who they had some property and it was under our name, and they went and sold the property and we got a portion of that. So our portion was $109,000. I was like, hello. I literally did nothing. There was nothing for me to do. It just came to us and I was like, wow, okay, let me receive that.
You're a money magnet.
It's crazy. And so, you know, it's just being willing to let things come to you once again, like just, you know, and better than I could have imagined. Like I didn't expect that money and here it is. So I feel like people just need to leave themselves open for opportunities, and it all flows in.
Amazing. So what's next for you? What are you setting intention to create or manifest for the near future?
I was just talking to my friends about this yesterday, and I really, I think what's next for me is, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but I really want a super magical space for me to create in, which means it could be an office, it could be a new home. I'm not really attached to what specifically it is yet, but I just want a really magical space where I can create. So I really was feeling into that yesterday with my group of friends. I was like, hey guys, let's pretend it's January next year. Like, what do you want to celebrate? Where like I step outside and nature is just right there at my doorstep if I want to step outside, and then I have a space for me to create with my business, and it's just like, so that's what I'm after next.
Wonderful. That sounds magical. And when you do your visioning or creating, do you go into a lot of detail of how it looks, or is it more about how it feels for you?
I've done both. It's more about how it feels now. I used to get really attached to how it would look and what it was supposed to entail. But yeah, now I'm more focused on the feeling, because I want to leave the universe a little space to delight and surprise me.
That sounds good.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly. So. Because they could deliver a lot more than what you're expecting.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And I did a really cool exercise actually, where I wrote down all the details of what I want my next home to be. And then at the end of the exercise, we were told to just rip it up. Like take all of that and just rip it up, and now let the universe bring you something even better. And I was like, oh, I love that.
Because they can add more things onto the descriptions.
Yeah, it can. Yes, I'm like, man, because if you sit there for like 10 minutes and write what you really want and get into the detail of it, like you start to really feel it, and you're like, oh, this would be so amazing. And then to know that something even better than that exists, it's like, yes, yeah, I'm more pleased.
Yeah, absolutely. You seem to really be mastering the whole manifesting thing. Is there anything that you just haven't been able to manifest because maybe around a belief pattern, or, because some subjects we find harder than others? Is there anything that's not working for you?
That's a good question. Not right now at the moment, but there's definitely times where I feel like one part of my life is a little broken. All these other areas are working. But I've always been one to just, when that happens, like when I feel like I'm like, oh, this one piece is stuck, what do I do? I start focusing on all the other things that are working, because I feel like they're kind of like a blueprint, and I can take that blueprint and apply it to another area of my life. So that's really worked for me, is like, if I feel like I'm getting stuck in one area, I stop putting so much focus on it, and I put focus on all the areas that are working. So
that's a really good advice, because what we focus on, we get more of. So we don't want to be focusing on the things that we don't have or that we can't create. So
yeah, it's just, it doesn't serve you. So I've been really grateful that I'm able to shift my focus, because sometimes people get so deep into a problem that they have a hard time pulling back. But I've always been able to kind of pull back my energy and be like, okay, where do I want to focus that is working?
Yeah. Well, you've given us so many nuggets of wisdom. Amazing to have you on the show. And I'm just excited to see what else is going to happen for you, and just see where the end of the year takes you.
Oh, thank you, love. And I will leave everyone with this one thing. I just was journaling about this last night, was life is always trying to celebrate with you if you let it. So I just wanted to leave that out there for everyone. Thank you, love, for having me. I so appreciate you.
Thank you. You've been amazing.